He started out as a young mechanic with a set of spanners in the back of a ute, and now he's leading Australia's biggest independent heavy vehicle maintenance group. G'day, I'm Shane Jacobson, and this is How You're Travelling, a podcast from Healthy Heads in Trucks and Sheds. Now today, I'm thrilled that I'm joined by Barry Saad. He's got plenty to say about what it's really like behind the scenes in the workshop, the pressure, the pitfalls, and why supporting mechanics' mental health is just as important as looking after the drivers on the road. Barry, welcome to the show, mate. I've got to start by asking, as we do with all of our wonderful guests, how are you travelling?
G'day, Shane. Oh, mate, travelling well, doing great things and really enjoying it.
Mate, my intro, was all in my intro, but it's kind of better coming from you because it is true. You did start with your own tools in the back of a ute, literally single man operation, and I want to cut to the chase. I hope you don't mind doing this. There's now a few more than a couple of tools and just you and a bit of a ute. You've got about 140 odd staff, don't you? Plus,
so over 140, across 3 states, which is pretty full on.
And mate, so the business is Truck Tech. Can you tell people, well, firstly a bit about what you do, but also let us know just what it was like with those, very humble beginnings.
So a bit about Truck Tech, leading independent heavy vehicle fleet maintenance provider. In other words, we just fix trucks and trailers and buses across this lovely country, across the east coast of Australia. Majority around the fleet maintenance management and giving access to big fleets, so fleets over 50 vehicles, access to well-trained technicians and proactive fleet maintenance, really focusing on ensuring the trucks that are on the road, they're safe and compliant and making sure A, our truck drivers are getting home safe and B, the community is safe in the same time.
What attracted you to this? So how old were you when you were, when you went out on your own and went, I'm gonna make a go of just fixing trucks?
I guess it starts a little bit earlier. I grew up with a family around cars. Dad owned wrecking yards, so every day after school, Mum used to have to go work at Dad's wrecking yard, so we'd all have to go do our homework at a wrecking yard. And probably from the age of 8, really sort of covered in grease my whole life, in the words my mum uses. So stepped out of school, and Dad said you had to get a job. That was the number one rule, is to leave school in year 10. And I sort of left the car industry, left the family, and sort of decided I want to go chase trucks. I was a bigger guy and played rugby league all those days, so I thought I'd chase the bigger, just so I could fit in a truck. Which is exciting, and then started the journey as an apprenticeship when I was 16. Never worked for anyone else, which is not whole. When you work for your father for all those years, and then you sort of go into a job. I had 2 really good bosses, and then after my 3rd year in apprentice, my boss back then, Brad, turned around and said to me, "Hey, you know what? I know you're destined to do big things. You can't sit still. You come here and work, you go home and you work, and you're doing cash jobs on the side, and I know what you're up to. I'll just sign you off because I know you're really good at it, and off you go and do your own thing." And it was from when we started. I literally packed up my tools in the back of a ute from out of Brad's workshop and we kicked it off, and we just started Truck Tech back in 2007 now. So history under the belt now. And
what was it like? It must have been a big leap of faith to literally go, I'm going to try and make an income by being on my own. Were you just going to different trucking mobs and knocking on the door and going, listen, if you don't have your own in-house mechanic, I'm a mobile mechanic kind of thing. I can do, ongoing maintenance or emergency repairs. Is that how it started?
How it started is a bit different. I worked on anything. Anyone that would give me a job, I was working on tractors, bobcats, trucks, trailers. I was fixing people's lawnmowers. Anyone that would pay me to come and do some repairs from a mechanic. That's how you start. That's a typical startup phase. The hard bit in our industry is a lot of the larger businesses and larger corporations find it really hard to, A, you got to have some credibility, but B, when you're a single person in the back of a ute, you're too much of a risk for bigger companies. Like if you get sick or you get injured, they can't afford to wait for you to get better while their truck's sitting off the road. So in the early days, and something that I always talk about, I work on anything just to really just try and make ends meet, pay the bills, do the breakdowns, anything. So there's a whole lot of conversation I can have about those early days, if you.
Barry, can I ask a very selfish question that has nothing to do with trucking? So a wrecking yard, was it a truck wrecking yard or cars?
Cars. We grew up in car wrecking yards.
So what special car did you get to steal from your dad's wrecking yard and go, I'm going to keep this? Is there a Monaro, a GTHO? Is there some sneaky little car that you guys went, oh man, this is too good to wreck?
No, I wish. I remember there's a story where Dad wrecked a Phase 3 GTHO.
Stop.
And it's going to make it worse. And I said, why are we doing this? We always have a laugh about it now. He goes, oh, there's no point keeping it. It's too expensive on fuel. We can't afford to fill it up. So he sold the engine, diff and transmission out of it. Pulled the parts off it and scrapped it. So yeah, I make my father cringe every time I show him. Every time a Phase 3 GTHO comes up for sale, anything from $750 to $1 million, and he complained about $30 worth of fuel.
Correct. Can you do me a favour? Can you just do one graph for him, just on behalf of you and me, and you get the price of a GTHO Phase 3 in the day and the price of a house, and then you draw a line at what a house is worth today and show him how steep that line is, and then show him the graph on a GTHO Phase 3, and you were better off to live in a GTHO Phase 3 than buy a house. But anyway.
That's true, but I won't show him the graph. I'm trying to keep him alive. Last thing I want him to do is have a heart attack.
Yeah, no, don't do that. Don't do that. He deserves better. So, mate, you do see, I mean, yes, you started the business, obviously to make an income. You're going with what you've got, with your knowledge and the tools you had, with what's in your head and what's in your toolbox. You're like, okay, I'm going to start a business called Truck Tech. But your success, if you don't mind me saying so on your behalf, it's not only the way you conduct yourself and the way you do business, and you're such an infectious character, Barry. I know that when I've had a drink with you, when we kind of announced me as an ambassador for Healthy Heads, when we caught up then. But it also is, you do have a passion for. You said it before, for keeping trucks on the road, because if a truck's not on the road, someone's not making money. If someone's not making money, someone's losing money, all that kind of stuff. But you do have a genuine passion for the industry and keeping trucks safe on the road, as you said, for the community and the driver and for the business, It's much more than just you spinning the spanner. You don't just want a truck to make noise. You want it to do so safely,
Without a doubt. And I think sometimes we've got to look around and to understand the value of the transport industry and the trucking industry. We specialise in, obviously, trucks, trailers and buses, but we get food to communities. We stock the shelves at Coles. Those trucks stock the shelves at Coles. The tip-top trucks deliver bread.
And IGA as well, Barry. I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, when IGA signs with us, then I'll give them a plug. But I think also the school, like getting involved in the bus industry was an interesting one. But you sort of take the concept. We make sure that people get to work safely, get kids to school safely. It's so much more than just spinning spanners. It's so important that we take a bit of pride and a lot of pride and responsibility to make sure that when that truck leaves or that trailer leaves our workshop or our responsibility, it's safe. And you hear it come through so many times through the business, and that's just sort of attracting the right people. I want to make sure that I can go home knowing that my wife and kids are on the same road as that truck and trailer, and nothing's going to happen to them. That's the sense of pride that we have, and it's so important to drive that through the industry, especially when people think about what the industry is, what they assume the industry is and what it really is. And we've gone to the days of covered in grease as mechanics, and we're really now sort of taking sense and pride in what we do. So.
But, mate, there's no doubt about it. You're obviously, we're all aware of the podcast that we're doing and why this podcast exists, which is around the mental health in this space. Yeah. So we've spoken to so many warehouse workers who work in HR there, or who actually work in the warehouses, or have got experience in warehouses, long-haul truck drivers. We've spoken to so many different people. But you come at a different angle because you're keeping them on the road. But the mental health is as important for you, and you've got 140 humans under your control, and that's the other thing we know about you, mate, which is obviously why we've got you on, is your care for the individuals that work for you, and then your struggles that you've had in life. So, firstly, you do have a magnifying glass and keep your eye keenly on your staff to see how their mental health is. Why is that so important to you, and when did that become so?
Firstly, great question. The only thing I want to call out is we don't control people, we lead people. So that's my stuff.
Well said. Yeah, well said.
I guess the mental health journey for me is something that's become very passionate. Leaving a secure job and starting your own thing. In the first, I'm going to use the word 10 years, probably a bit less than 8 years, were absolute hell. 20-hour days, 22-hour days, sleeping in the ute, getting phone calls in the middle of the night, going out there doing breakdowns, come home, have a shower, try and jump in for a couple of hours sleep, come out of the shower to a missed call of another breakdown. So put your clothes back on, off you go again, and just working these ridiculous hours and just thinking that, there's such a typical excuse that we all have. And we say, just harden up, you need to do it, I'll get over it. And the challenges, working the large days, 7 days a week. I can talk about a whole challenge that happens when you're in a startup phase that I think something we should acknowledge, but not a bit early, is you go through all of these phases. And I remember sitting down with my wife, my son was 3, my daughter was about 1.5, and my wife was pregnant again, and she just sat down with me, looked at me and said, hey, I'm not doing this again. I'm not going another year like this. You're never home. We don't have money. You're working all these hours and you would never have money. And it's a whole challenge what the industry does to the small operator. And that's something that I'm very passionate about. And she sat down and she looked at me, she goes, we've got to change. And something's got to change. And I'm doing the typical man style and typical, I'm going to use the word old school attitude. I'll work twice as hard to fix the problem. And it didn't. And it just, that attitude of not asking for help. And the conversation with my wife, she kept bringing up to me this guy that was a business coach. And here I am, she's like, why don't you just go and talk to this guy? I'm like, what's this guy going to teach me about running a workshop? He's just, it's just another fraud excuse. Like, what's this guy going to teach me how to run a workshop? So I sort of brushed it off and kept pushing it away. And I'll never forget it. It was, we had the conversation just before Christmas, and it sort of got to Valentine's Day. And then, you do the typical man thing last minute, trying to run around buy dodgy flowers off the side of the road. And 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 I come home and I go, I got you something for Valentine's. She goes, the only thing I want you to do is spend 15 minutes with this coach.
On Valentine's Day, that was your wife's answer. Wow.
That was it. So that was what she wanted. She goes, look, I just can't see you keep doing what you're doing. It's not working. Like, I know you're working hard on it, but we can't keep going on like this. And I was having a lot of mental health challenges. I could tell, I was overweight, extremely overweight. I'll give you a bit of a joke. I was 167 kilos. I had an apprentice hired full time that used to come and with me where I went or work with the truck, just to jack up the truck, lift it up, just so I could fit under it, because I couldn't fit under it. That was his full-time job. That's how big I was. And funny enough, his name was Jack. So
that makes matters even worse, doesn't it?
Yeah. So, overweight, no sleep, no money, just pulling money off the house to continue going. And then I sort of sit down with this guy. I promised him, I'll go, you know what, stuff it, I'll do it. I'll just chat to this guy 15 minutes just to make you happy. And it was the starting point, because I walked in for 15 minutes and I left there 3 hours later.
So you go in there, as you said, to kind of mansplain it, I don't need the help from some other bloke. What does he know that I don't know? I know what I'm doing. I'm the man in the house. I imagine that was kind of vibe.
It's exactly what it was.
And you walk in there. So over those 3 hours, what was it? Because, as we all know, when you go for a meeting that you don't want to be in, you're ready to say no to anything they say. So what was some of the things that literally T-boned you at your, your own mind's intersection, if you will, that you went, shit, that's a good point. Oh, shit, I hadn't thought of that. What were some of the things? Because there'd be people listening now that would go, I wish I was in that meeting because maybe I need a bit of advice. What were some of the things that really stood out and that have stayed with you?
The first message that come to me is that every single problem that we're dealing with, challenge that we're dealing with, problem we're dealing with, someone else has dealt with it before.
That's a good point. And
just the conversations we had about, he'd talk to me about the challenges about how do you lead people, how do you frustrate people, how I'm reacting around people, instead of focusing on being the victim, changing the attitude to, what can I do to change the narrative, or different type of conversations. But I guess the one message that started from the start is, he said to me, Barry, if you really want to get out of this, as the business, your life in general, everything you do will only grow as much as you grow. And I really challenged him on that. And I said, what do you mean by that? Because you want the business to grow? You need to grow. You need to learn. You need to ask questions. You have challenges with leadership? Go and learn how to do leadership. You have challenges managing cash flow? Go and learn how to manage cash flow. You have challenges, look, right now, raising a teenager. My boy's a teenager now. And there's ways you can go and ask for help. And that attitude of really sort of saying, okay, well, it's a challenge. What do I need to learn? Who do I need to speak to? What do I need to listen to? Listen to podcasts, read books, listen to books. Mum couldn't believe how obsessed I became in books. In school, I wasn't the greatest kid. I didn't like reading books. And now I'm sort of got this quiet obsession with books. And now we've got technology where Audible, how good's that? It reads it to you. What do you want in that?
Exactly.
So anyway, so I guess the message that came in that was, life will only get better when you face a challenge and learn how to deal with them and take that responsibility and accountability. But everything you're going through, I promise you someone else has gone through it.
I guess the second you started listening, not objecting, was when you started to gain knowledge. So cash flow, one of those things is mentioned, and you'd be going, my cash flow is not working. Well, that's the reason it's called cash flow, is it has a heading because it happens in every business. Can we talk about the kind of, because I imagine that's part of the hardship. You go out, young mechanic, and again, there could be people listening here that go, I'm in that mud pit right now where the more I move, it's seemingly, when you get caught in the quicksand of business, the faster you move, you feel like, or the more you try, the more you seem to sink, or that's how it feels. And you go, the faster you run, the slower you go, or the more you try and do, the costs go up and the profits are less. Like, that's what it feels like.
Shane, you're touching a very important thing that's important to me about being a mechanic, and the attitude of, I have this, I've been in business for long enough to understand there's 3 types of mechanics. And I want to take in a bit of a thought process, and I'm hoping that I can pick up one or two, just even one, influence one person to hear this. I have 3, a thesis they call it, or of 3 types of mechanics in this world. You can try and sell it to me in any other way, but there's 3 types of mechanic. There's the one who's Mr. Consistent, who just shows up to work, he does consistent 8 hours worth of good quality work, and he goes home. Doesn't want to change the world, doesn't want to become management, not interested in any of that, just wants to show up and just work on his trucks, be happy, do 8 hours worth of good quality work and go home. And then we have another technician, number 2, who we call the machine. My guys, the technicians at my work, have called him the machine. This person comes into work, he's wired differently. He comes in, he smashes out 12 hours worth of work in like 8 hours, good quality work, but he's just wired different. He's just the type of guy that just loves to smash the work out. Loves the work, loves just knocking jobs off and making sure the jobs are all quality. And then you've got the 3rd type. And the 3rd type is where my mechanics have turned around and called this person the sensor light. And
the sensor light?
Yeah, so this guy only turns on when you walk past him.
He only works when he senses movement.
Yeah.
There's something near me.
Someone's walking past, quick, the boss is here, we've got to turn him on. So they're the 3 types of mechanics that are out there in all across the world. Don't just blame Australia, but I'm all about Australia. So in Australia, so this thesis, this idea of the 3 types of mechanics. Well, the sensor light, they don't work for truck tech. We go and work. We wish you all the best wherever you work. It's not who we're trying to attract here in the business. And what we sort of got obsessive is trying to understand. Okay, well, you've got the guy who's Mr. Consistent, that's coming in doing 8 hours worth of good quality work. And then you've got the other guy who's Mr. Machine, is coming in doing 12 hours in 8 hours of good quality work. Now, which one of these guys is doing anything wrong? Is anyone doing anything wrong?
And well, no, not those first 2, no. One guy's turning up and doing the job as expected. The other guy's only expected to do a certain amount of work, but he's punching out 12 in 8,
Yeah, so he's really going. And then, so no one's doing anything wrong, but what happens is you put the machine next to Mr. Consistent, and Mr. Consistent sitting there sort of doing the work, doing just an honest day's worth of work. Let's just say 2 services in 8 hours. And you got the machine doing 3 services in 8 hours. And guess how the industry naturally incentivizes the machine next to the Mr. Consistent? They pay him $1 or $2 extra an hour. Nothing, absolutely. This is how the industry it was set up, and this is how the industry, we're just challenging that. So you got this guy who's a machine, and that's someone that I'm going to lean onto the machine because that's someone that I was, and I continue to for. Is the machine does this? He works next to a Mr. Consistent. He tries to slow down and says, "Stuff it. I'm not going to do. I'm getting only paid a couple of bucks extra. I'm going to slow down stuff. I'm only going to do 2 services today." And he's going there, does 2 services, 1 day, 2 days, and he starts getting frustrated. He starts getting angry. He's just wired differently. He doesn't know how to slow himself down. So he feels like he's not accomplishing. So he gets the shits, and nobody knows why. And he gets frustrated at work, and he's snappy, and he's short, and you know what he does? He just quits. He goes, "Stuff it. I don't like working here. These people are just lazy." And remember, no one's done anything wrong, but there's no acknowledgement or incentivization for them to do more. So then the machine does this. He bounces around to another workshop, same problem. Bounces around to another workshop, same problem. Bounces around to another workshop and says, "You know what? Stuff this. I'm good. I'm a really good mechanic. I know what I'm doing. I'm going to go load up my tools in the back of you. I'm going to go do it myself." Yeah. And this is where why the industry doesn't do really well. So like we started the podcast, I talk about the challenges of starting your own business. You're a great mechanic. No one teaches you how to be a good business operator. That's the first challenge. The second piece is I can't go work for the tier 1 or tier 2 companies because I'm not big enough as a business. I don't have the credibility, might not have the tooling, and then you know the risk that the company looks at you by being an individual one-man show. So now this machine's sort of working for anyone. Anyone they'll give him work. Sounds very familiar?
Yeah.
So he's out there going around trying to work, and he's finally working for this guy, and this guy comes around and says, hey, look, come and work on my truck. He's got 1 or 2 trucks that he's working on, a little sub-tier operator, we'll use the word, trying to be respectful. And he goes out there and works for him. He says, okay, come and work for $500. If you come and do this job, I'll give you $500 once you finish, and off you go. So the mechanic goes, how good's that? I made $500 today. He gets paid straight away. How good is this? Next time he goes around, he heads out there. The guy calls him up again. He says, hey, I've got this other job for you. But hey, I can't get there to buy the parts for you. Can you swing past, buy the parts, and come fit them on the truck? So now the mechanic's wandered out there, driven out to, bought the parts. He spent $500 on his own credit card, driven out to the customer, and the customer's turned around and done the job on the truck, and everything's all good. The customer pays him, his $1,000, let's just say, and he's got, how good's this? I made another $500. But I've also made, another $100 on those parts. I've made $600. How good's this? So, and it gets this positive reassurance. And then it gets to a certain point where he's done work, now the operator's not paying. So now he bought the parts for $1,000. He's done $1,000 work. He's owed $2,000 from the operator. Goes to the operator, turns around and says to him, hey man, look, I'm a little bit busy today. I'm driving trucks today. I've got a driver who's sick, or someone didn't show up today. I'll come and pay you tomorrow. And then tomorrow becomes Thursday. Thursday becomes Friday. Friday happens. There's been 2 other breakdowns in between. He now owes me $6,000, $7,000. I've gone to see him on Friday. I've put $2,500 on my credit card, and guess what he pays me on Friday? He gives me $2,500. So I've worked all week and I've got no money. I've just paid my credit card. So now I've got $3,500 that's owed to me by this operator. And now this now becomes this, what I call the death spiral.
And let me guess, you want to keep working for that guy, because if you don't keep working, his trucks don't stay on the road and he won't pay you the money that he owes you, and you keep going back to the same nightclub where you keep getting slapped on the dance floor.
Amen. You couldn't have said it any better, Shane. And you get so caught up into a position where, I can't leave this guy. Because if I stop working for him, he just won't pay me the rest of the money. But I'm now $20,000 in the hole. My credit cards are maxed up. I'm pulling money off the house to pay my credit card. My wife's got the shit. She's had enough of me. She's thinking, I'll stuff this. You're working all these hours. We never see you. We've got no money. We're pulling money off the house. We're now going backwards. And the mental health death spiral, I call it begins to happen. We start losing that. Who do I talk to? Now, we've got a sense of pride because we started our own business. Who do we go and speak to? No one's out there talking about it. So it must be, I'm just not good enough, or I've just got bad luck, which that's a load of crap too, because we need to learn about that. Sometimes life challenges us and we need to learn. And then guess what happens to this machine? He loses, some guys are on the verge of losing. I was on the verge of losing my own family. And I'll call myself one of the lucky ones that had my wife kick my ass, is the right word I'm going to use. But also, I took the accountability. And some of the guys, unfortunately, in the industry, who's a machine mechanic, really obsessive in the industry, really good, cares about the trucks, cares about the industry chews him up, spits him out, and then we lose such an amazing technician who the industry needs. We need technicians. Chews him up, spits him out, and he becomes a chef, or we start hearing all these wild things where they've completely been burnt by the industry and just doesn't want to work anymore. Or even worse, mental health comes into play, and people start going down the depression and the suicidal, and unfortunately life it can challenge you really a lot, especially when you're a provider and a protector and you've got nowhere else to turn. And who do I talk to? Where do I go?
And can I ask you, Barry, how bad did it get for you at its worst? Where were you at personally?
Shane, it got bad. It got very bad. I'm overweight, same sort of challenges, no money, coming home, the phone, no sleep. I was very into depression, and some very close thoughts. And I just want to be very respectful of the situation. Mental was very challenged and very down. And I guess that was the turning point that you need to take in life sometimes. I could give you Shane's story upon stories that'll be very respectful, but
Yeah.
I guess it's the challenge of understanding that where you can go being a mechanic and the responsibilities that you have. And there's mechanics out there. There's some really good technicians who are stuck in that rut. They're a good technician. There are machines out there that just can't find the home.
Now, Barry, I have it on very good authority. What's the modern expression? I heard from a little birdie that you have an amazing apprenticeship program, and I know that you keep your eye out for those that probably need a little bit of a leg up, and you do that through your apprenticeship program. Can you tell us a little bit more about your apprenticeship program, or tell us all about it? Not a little bit. Tell us all about it.
Oh, the apprenticeship program. So I guess the underlying driver for our apprenticeship program is everything I wish I had as an apprentice. And I've got the opportunity to give it to our apprentices. And we're very big on coaching and mentoring and setting up our apprentices for success. We are very proud, and I know it sounds, we have the best apprentices in the industry. We push out the best apprentices. And it all comes down to the leadership and mentorship. And we take the time, more than anything, to give them hands-on experience. You don't spend the first 12 months or 18 months of your life picking up parts and sweeping floors. You get to work on the trucks and trailers. And the people that you're working with are the guys that were right there in your shoes, who actually were stuck and never had the chance for someone to help them and bring them along on the journey. And the second piece that we do really well is we've got someone in the business, his name's John Crow. We call him the Crowie. And his whole purpose and sole purpose is to work with our apprentices. That's all he does. Work with the apprentices, teach them, coach them, train them, and help them, support them to get through the administration side of doing your apprenticeship. Now, we're mechanics. If admin's not our expertise, writing and administration, and you've probably got the worst handwriting. I've still got the worst handwriting. So when you got someone like John Crow, whose industry experience is unheard of. I think he's been over 60 years in the industry. I'll give you a bit of a story. John Crow taught me at TAFE.
Right.
So, yeah, if that was to give you how John's got his amazing experience, to take our apprentices along and really support our apprentices along the journey, give an opportunity to actually work on the trucks, supportive environment, the best tools, and most importantly, some of the personal life skills that some of us miss out on, regardless of the reasons, whether it's come from broken home or come from just challenges in life, to really take them on that journey as well. Not just the hand skills of being a good mechanic, but also some of the life skills, like, yes, the Barry whiteboard session and so many other ways that we can do it. But yeah, and a lot of the enablement piece of giving them the workshops and the opportunity to work on multiple types of assets. You're not just picking on the dealerships, just working on the same type of truck every time. When you're an apprentice at Truck Tech, one day you're working on a truck, next day you're working on a trailer, next day you're working on a bus. So you get that variety and that experience and really come out the other end of and the opportunities to grow and to become leadership. Like, we've got so many of our apprentices who are leading hands, branch managers. Some of them are running their own businesses. That's how proud of them we are. So there's a lot of experience.
And it'd be remiss of me, I think, not to say this. So you service trucks all the way up the eastern seaboard of Australia. So sort of Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane is your mainstay of your work. So for anyone listening that might be a bit of a lost soul, so Truck Tech is the name of your business. Truck Tech, TECH for tech. So who knows? There might be someone out there now just going, what? I'd love to find them and see what they do and see if I can do something with them.
Thank you, Shane.
And so I'm going to make I guess I might see it as the obvious comparison. I know you're a very good mechanic and you could get trucks back on the road, right? That's how you've got to where you are now. Your business is getting trucks back on the road. Yeah. But it would be fair to say that the one thing that was falling apart mechanically and emotionally was you, and you didn't have the tools to get yourself mentally back on the road. Yeah. So there you were in a service lane being unserviced while it's the second the phone rings and someone says truck's broken down, the urgency of that. I mean, the wheels have to keep turning. That's what transport's all about. So you race there, get that thing back on the road, and every day that goes by, you're wearing out your own emotional tyres, you're running on old fuel, old oil, gearboxes grinding, because you're having bad thoughts, so the gearbox grinds. You can't get into high gear anymore because you're not eating right. I mean, I think your own words where you can't. You've got an expression I remember, which is you can't pour out of an empty cup. Is that?
Yeah. So look, it's You're saying it exactly what I say. You can't pour out of an empty cup. And that was a huge learning. You're hardwired as a mechanic to care so much more about the truck and the customer and the family. And you just, and as a man in general, I guess the attitude of the man in general is the world has put this bad thought process about putting yourself first. Where the attitude, and I was saying to the first meeting that I had that took 3 hours, he made me think about, well, how you want to help your family? You need to help yourself to be able to help your family. You want to help your customers? You've got to be able to help yourself to be able to help your customers. And that's that sort of, if I want to help my technicians, I want to help my family, I want to help my customers, I need to be able to build the business and fill up my own cup, look after my own health, have the energy, listen, learn and understand, learn to communicate, to be able to help other people. And that's probably the number one thing, if anyone wants to learn this, it's not selfish to look after yourself. It's actually, it's your responsibility to the people you're protecting to look after yourself. Because without you, none of this will happen that you're seeing that's happening around you. And that's how important you are to people. And it's not selfish. It's not selfish. It's actually, it's selfish if you don't look after yourself.
Yeah, there you go.
And
yeah, well said.
I guess in pouring out of an empty, you can't pour out of an empty cup. You have to take the time, fill up your own cup. And I mean that in multiple ways. Simple things, eating healthy, going for a walk, taking the time to actually stop and just look at life and just look back and see how far you've come. That was a big challenge I used to have. I used to just smash the next goal and keep going. Just, next minute it's like, well, where have I got to? Well, you've got all this and you're still chasing the next goal. Well, hang on, stop, look around. Look what you've been able to achieve. Every single problem you've had in your life, you've overachieved it. You've got 100% success rate in every single challenge you have in your life. Find me anyone else who's still alive in this world that hasn't ever achieved it. And it's just that whole attitude of sort of focusing on yourself. Just a little bit. You don't have to sit there and be, use the word, rude about it. It's just simple things. And I guess it's a great leader into sort of focusing on yourself. How does it affect the people around you? Well, I started to eat a little bit healthier, well, a lot healthier after a while. Guess what happened to the people around me? My kids, my wife, my team, and the people around me. They started eating healthier. It influenced their life. Then I decided, okay, well, I'm going to start walking. Guess who started joining me on the walks? My family, my kids. Yeah. And I started spending more time. And it's just this whole thought process saying, is it really selfish? Or is this what I have to be doing? Started getting better at leadership, leading my own team. When I started learning how to become a better leader, I was a very angry person. I'd be learning how to understand how to manage my anger, understanding why I used to get angry, my triggers, if you want to use those words.
Yeah.
Once I became a better leader, guess what naturally happened to my technicians and the people that were working with Truck Tech and believing in the mission that we have. They became better. They became better leaders. And they pushed me to become a better leader. And it just became this whole, instead of coming off the death spiral that I was talking about before, become this positive energy that you just push around to everybody else. And then it just, yes, of course, life gives you challenges, but you're in a different space, in a different mental space where, you've got the energy because you're eating a bit better, you've lost a bit of weight, you've got time with the family because you've gone for the walks with them, and they feel like, okay, well, he's got to work hard tonight, so it's okay, but he went for the walk with us yesterday. And so many of the positive things start rolling off the back when I started taking care of myself. Wasn't that interesting?
It's amazing, isn't it? Because it is a mind shift first, isn't it? The eating healthy, the exercising, the positive thoughts, the reflection, they're all state of mind. It's funny because you look at a whiteboard, if you listed all those things you've spoken about, if you put them on a whiteboard, it's a really big list. But in fact, the only lever you really have to pull to start with is the change of thought in your own mind, and go a positive thinking. Just to go, I'm going to make a change of thought. I'm going to take a slightly different direction than what I'm taking. As we know, the meaning of kind of insanity is repeating the exact same action over and over and expecting a different outcome. And I've always found it interesting that you think about it, just a change of. A change of heart, some people call it, but a change of mind. And go, I'm going to approach this differently. Once there's a lightness of thought, and of course, if you're eating well, there's literally a physical lightness, you start to float a little bit. The weight's not on your heels. You can start to walk on the balls of your feet, which means you can actually propel yourself forward. It's amazing how it can turn around just with a change of mind, isn't it?
100%. But how do you change your mind? And that's interesting because I used to listen to books and they tell you, just a thought and just this and just that. Well, it's easier to talk about it, but then the hard bit's actually doing it. And one thing that I learned in the early days of, If I told my friend, I promised a friend I'll go pick him up from Canberra, I will do everything I can to make sure I get to Canberra to go and pick him up. Because that's a promise I made to my friend. But you know what the issue is that we don't notice? Is that I never used to keep the promises with myself.
Yeah.
So, and that was the attitude of saying, okay, well, how do I start? How do I change to be positive? How do I change? You know what? I can't keep doing what I'm going to do. How do I change this? And how do I head in the right direction? Well, I'll give you the most simple way. Make small promises that you will keep. Start small. You know what? Today I'm going to eat one healthy meal today. Just one simple one. Just that. It doesn't have to change the world. Just make one simple one. And then make another simple promise to yourself. And another simple promise to yourself. And then hit the promise. Because once you make the promise to yourself, you can't let him down. Like you wouldn't leave your friend in Canberra because you promised him you'll pick him up. You can't do it to yourself. And it's like a muscle. You know what? You'll go 1 day, then you'll stuff it up. Then get back on the horse. Then you'll go 2 days, and then you'll stuff it up. Then you'll go 3 days. The next minute you're a week in. Now next minute you're 2 weeks in. And it's okay. You're going to stuff it up. Accept the fact that you're going to stuff it up. Take that pressure off your back. But just start making those simple promises to yourself. And then just watch the world just shift. Because then you start challenging yourself. You're like, hang on, man. I've done this for a week. Like, I can go an extra day. Are you kidding me? This is who we are. And, apply the Australian attitude. Like, hey, we'll get through a war. Like, we'll run through wars. That's who Australians are. We've been through wars and we've been through so much. It just compounds into keeping those promises and just driving yourself to that attitude. That's the best way to do it. And keep it simple. And one rule. And the one rule, I'll never forget it. One of my very close friends of mine said to me, don't make a promise don't make a promise to yourself, you're going to fail. And what does that mean? I'll give you an example for me. I used to tell him, I'm going to go to the gym at 4 a.m. He just used to leave, but I told him that. I'm going every day. And he just looked at me straight to my face and goes, you freaking dream. Don't make that promise.
Who's going to the gym at 4 a.m.?
Who's going to the gym? Who's mad?
Yeah, four's a bit early.
Well, it was the concept of going every day. That was the intent. And I was going to go every day. He goes, you're not going to go every day, so don't make that promise to yourself. Why don't you just start with making a promise you're going to go once this week? Just make that one promise. But if you're not going to make a promise that in your heart, we all know, that, I'm not going to stay true to this, don't worry about it. I'm just making it makes me feel good saying this promise now, but I know I'm going to fall over and I go back to Macca's instead of eating healthy today.
Yeah.
Don't make that promise. Start small, just simple promises. You know what? I'm going to walk around the truck 3 times today.
And those little, we've spoken about that with so many people, on this podcast now over the few series, and it is those little they're great little ones. They're the ones I like because exactly to your point. If you can go, I'm just going to walk around the truck 3 times. Every time I get in my truck, I'm never going to walk straight to the door. Start with 1 lap. I'll never walk straight to the door of the truck. I'm going to do 1 lap of the truck before I get in it.
Now, I'm a mechanic. Just to give you context, I want the drivers walking around their trucks because if there's anything wrong with it, I want you to look and find it. So
yeah,
there's a positive to the fact that you're looking after yourself, but automatically you've turned this into a habit to look after the community and the heavy vehicle and the truck, and automatically from that one simple walk around the truck.
Yeah, but I mean, you're supposed to be doing a tyre check anyway, so you're right. You can turn it into something, and for our warehouse workers, imagine that. I'm going to walk around the warehouse. I mean, a lot of them, have to walk, do a lot of steps anyway within a warehouse. But, imagine saying I'm actually going to walk around the warehouse once before I enter it. You can come up with that agreement with yourself. And as you say, it's so achievable. Just 1 lap of the truck, 1 lap of the warehouse. And then after you've done that for a few weeks, and you might fail, and maybe you're right. Maybe you say, I'm going to twice this week, I'm going to do that.
Why don't we just find an accountability? We've all got a friend. We've all got a mate. Who's the guy that, or girl on the other side of the phone? It's going to give us a bit of I better get up because I know Shane's going to pick up the phone and give it to me if I don't do that. Walk around the truck or take the stairs or have 1 healthy meal today, or accountability partner and friends. And you'll be so surprised how influential you'll be to those friends. And guess who you become to that person? You become
an inspiration for each other.
Correct.
More so than yourself. So, mate, you said right near the start, the tough it out mentality, that, men. But having said that, not just men now, the world is slowly changing.
Everyone.
It's human nature that, and Australia came from a culture, as we know, that said, come on, hang in there, tough it out, she'll be right.
She'll be right.
and we keep saying now, it's not. It's in fact not the case. It won't be. So, asking for help. I mean, your biggest turning point, as best as I can figure, is your wife says to you, Valentine's Day, I don't want flowers. I want you to go and speak to this business coach for 15 minutes. And
ask for help, regardless who it was.
Yeah,
so ask for help.
Go and get some help. So after that, was one of the biggest changes for you in accepting help, or accepting that asking for help is not a bad thing, that she won't be right, was that if you had to try and look at the things that could be, again, people listening, and we dearly hope they are, and we hope they're getting something out of hearing your story, is it that moment when you go, asking for help is the right thing to do, there's no shame in it, in fact it's going to fix some things, and if I really don't like the way things are going, that is the band-aid I'm looking for, or more to the point, that is the ointment I need to put on this wound. So did you then go, okay, getting help is okay, and this is going to change things, it's going to fix things, it's going to make my journey easier? Is that what happened? Is that fair to say?
Without a doubt. But I guess, Shane, when you begin this journey of asking for help and looking for people who have been on the journey before, and asking them for help, you become that person. And then what happens is you actually start to see people who are going through the same things that you went through. And then there's a part of me that lights me up when I see someone who's stuck exactly where I was stuck a few months ago or a few years ago. And I'll be like, oh my God, I know exactly where you're stuck. Come, I want to teach you something. Come, let me show you something. You just get lit up and want to help them and want to contribute. And to be honest, it's the best feeling in the world when you be able to contribute to someone and just talk them through something that someone taught you and you learned over your journey, or you went and challenged yourself to go and learn, and then to be able to sort of pass that message on, where you see someone who's actually stuck in the same way that you were stuck, like leadership or communication, or just simple managing cash flow, or just how to chase money because the bloke owes me money, or I've got a diagnostic issue on a trailer. Well, it's that opportunity to teach someone to contribute for what you learned and made your life better, to be able to teach someone. It starts so small. It just becomes so small, and you just build upon it. It's just like the greatest feeling in the world. You get lit up by it. So then you get addicted to learning more, and you want to say, okay, what else am I stuck on? Nobody knows everything. I don't care what anyone tells you. We're always going to stuff things up. No one's going to make mistakes.
I'm great at it.
We all, but it's that attitude. Okay, well, understand that you got the challenge, learn, and then what do I need to learn to overcome it? And then you get the opportunity one day where you meet someone, and sometimes it could be someone that's very close to you, and sometimes it could be the most random person you met on a plane. And you can just contribute that one little bit to their life, and you'd be so surprised how much that changes their life and how important it is to their health. And why am I obsessed? And we wear healthy heads on my sleeve, and we literally have it in the company. So
for those that aren't seeing this, because they're listening to it on a podcast, apart from obviously truck tech on the front of your shirt, so it should be, that's your business, Barry. But on your sleeve is healthy heads, trucks
and on the other side we've got Cam Quality as well. So
look at that.
Very important to us. But it's that whole mindset of like the attitude, the conversation of just talking to someone. And sometimes you get help from the most random places. You see an Instagram post or a TikTok post and you think, oh, that actually resonates with me. Or you're listening to this podcast and what's a mechanic and Shane got to come up with this whole thing, and the next minute you're learning something new. And that having the mindset, looking for the help and accepting that you need it, and it's okay to ask for help. Then the other piece is then drive it. You've got to be able to, you can't just take the help and hold it for yourself. You have to give it back. And then you've got to react to the opportunity. That's why we get involved in Healthy Heads. That's why we get involved in Are You OK? This is why we get involved in McGrath Foundation, Cam Quality. Why? Because we want to bring so many people along this journey and to contribute to their lives. And it's just some of the most simple conversations. I could tell you stories upon stories where...
That's actually a great lead into my next question, which is you have 140 staff plus. Now that you look at the amount of humans you have working alongside you, what are some of, just for people, again, for the people listening, what are the common things you spot and go, so that people may understand what they're feeling is common, what they're going through is not rare, it's almost standard, or it's shared by a large percentage of the population? And what are the commonality things you see and go, here we go, this is what they're going through, and this is how I can guide them out of that darkness?
The first things you got to look at are there is words that we use as triggers. People that get detached. They're naturally the person that you know who they are. You work with them every day. You know their personality, and use instinct. And I know people don't sort of like it, but there is an instinct. You're like, and they're not the same. So the first thing is, without a doubt, ask the question: Are you okay? But then, if I was to sit back in the business and sort of look at the people, and the people that I've met, a lot of people in my journey, there's one thing we all sort of miss sometimes. And we go through life, and I use the word rudderless. So for whoever don't understand what rudderless is, if you don't have a rudder on the back of the boat, you can't steer the boat in the direction that you want. So that allows the waves in the ocean just to take you left, right, wherever they decide to take you. So when you find people and you meet people in life, and I use the word, and respectfully, they're going through life rudderless. We're just getting through. Wherever life takes me, I'm happy. These are the words you hear. Or I'm just trying to get through. I'll be right. Whatever, you know. How are you? Yeah, well, she'll be right. Well, it's okay. Those type of comments. Well, the rudderless situation, the rudderless conversation comes down from the way I've learned over time to do with it is by nobody teaches us how to set goals. And you sort of think, okay, set goals. Well, set goals is simple. From making a simple promise, I'm going to eat 1 meal healthier today, that's a goal. And, you know, so just one goal, then I'll be able to achieve the goal. Well, has anyone ever taught us how to set goals? We don't learn that at school. So how am I going to get better? And when they go through life, they will go through life rudderless but without setting goals. And that's when wherever life takes them, we will go. My friend told me there's a job over there, I'll go over there. I don't know, I'm going to go, the boys are at the pub tonight, I'm going to the pub tonight. Wherever without having those goals or learning first you've got to learn how to set goals and then be able to sort of, now that I've got the goals, how do I create accountability to make sure that I can achieve those goals? That's the attitude you've got to take, because when you start achieving things, you feel better. I'm not going to sit there and bore you with serotonin and endorphins and all this other stuff. Look at me, I'm a mechanic that understands all of that stuff, neuroscience. But it's the attitude of achieving something. It's, you know what, I promised myself I'm going to eat one good meal today. I've eaten a great meal today. I actually feel good. And another sort of conversation about challenging. I'm going to go for the walk. Well, while you walk, you might not feel great, but after it you do. So it's that attitude. And if you could just keep learning how to stack goals, and then start winning on the small goals, then you make the goals bigger, and then you make the goals bigger, and it just constantly goes into this different direction and change. And when you see people around you in the business that we have, and everybody calls it the Barry Whiteboard show, like you can't, you get a whiteboard show, as soon as he meets Barry, well, what's your goals? Well, he starts going down this whole process of trying to teach people how to set their goals.
And that is what you do, though. You do, you know, they say the Barry Whiteboard show. So you do sit down with staff with a whiteboard and go, let's list them.
Correct. Yes.
Because that's a good tip, though. Because if people don't have you in their life, if they don't have a Barry Saad in their life, then maybe that's a great tip. That if they don't have a Barry in their life, that maybe they do need to sit down with one of their most important people in their life, which is themselves, and maybe literally get a bit of paper, a whiteboard, or get a bit of paper, and go, what goals am I setting myself? What am I unhappy with? Where do I want to be? How do I get there? What are the small incremental changes I can make? We're not silly by design. We're silly by default, because we're all, you know what I mean. We are all clever. We are all clever. Being a human being is, in fact, we have an amazing resource. All of us are, in fact, inconceivably clever, but we get distracted by things like your biggest problem was you worked so hard to try and provide for your wife and children and to get your business going well, that it wasn't working well. So you think about that. That's not silly by design. That's silly by default. It's a different thing. So maybe that's a great tip. So talk us through, with what you would say to your staff when you have your Barry Whiteboard meeting. I love the fact that it's called Barry Whiteboard, because is it a play on the word Barry White, the name Barry White?
No, trust me, I'm not that nice of Barry White. I'm not as smooth. I'm too direct. They love it because I get a bit, how you going?
Barry Whiteboard. So imagine for people listening, if they're sitting in front of you now, what are the things you ask?
4 goals, very simple: money goal, family goal, personal goal, and future goal. So very simple. Money goals. Let's just pick money goals. You know what? I work for $40 an hour. I need to become. I want to try and make $42 an hour. And then don't worry how you're going to get there just yet. Don't put $100 an hour, because that's just not reasonable. We're talking, and only do short stints, 12 months. So I want to learn how I'm going to earn, say, even $45 an hour. Let's just use that. So we'll start with the money. Going to keep it simple. It could be a salary band. It could be money I want to earn a week, and whatever it is. But let's just pick an hourly rate. If I'm on $40 an hour, and I want to go to $45 an hour, I need to learn. I need to go and research and learn myself. No one can do it for me. I can ask people, what do I need to learn or become or do to be able to earn $45 an hour? And there's 100 ways you can go and find that out. The first way I do is you go to the lowest hanging fruit, and you go up to your boss or your manager, whoever it is. Say, hey, I want to earn $45 an hour. What do I need to do? What do I need to learn? What type of course do I need to do? What type of license? Whatever it is for me to be able to achieve that. And they will give you the plan. I need you to get increase your truck license. Go and get a forklift license. Whatever it is. And guess what you need to do? Off you go. There's a goal you're going to start working towards. And the next minute, 12 months later, you've done the work, 6 months, or whatever the time is. Make the promise that you're going to commit to do it and go and do it. Here we are. We'll set the goal now. I'm like, well, you know what? I'm not going to go out to the boys on the pub on Friday night and burn $200 on the pokies. I'm going to hold that $200 because I've got to buy a forklift license ticket that's going to cost me $1,000. Some employers, they pay for it. But even if you've got to do it yourself, because you've got the goal, automatically start heading in that direction. The next one, okay, that's the money goal. There's a bit of an attitude of the money goal. And you can see the theme.
No, it's good, but it's good. I mean, because you're talking about upskilling to find, there's one way of going. I wish I could make 45 an hour.
Yeah.
And you go, do you want to wish it or do you want to head towards it? Because you
have to decide. Correct.
I wish I was prettier. There's not a lot I can do about.
I don't know. I've seen about Botox and that. We should be trying to do something there. No.
but it's like, what are you doing about it? Yeah, exactly. So that's a great way of going. Go and pick up skills that get you to the money. Like, do you know how Sir Edmund Hillary got to the top of Everest? Because he could see it and he had a direction to head to. You can't get to the top of Everest by putting on a backpack and just heading in a direction. Correct. It's like, do you know where Everest is? It's over there. Show me where Everest is. There it is. And can you see where the top of it is? It's right there. Well, now you know where you're
going
heading
in that direction, and everything else becomes a distraction.
Yes, and now you know what you need to do to get to exactly that point. Well, I'm going to need bigger ropes and a few hooks and some warmer clothes, but now you're equipped.
What are the tools I need to equip myself to become that?
Yeah.
And a perfect example, do you jump in your car and just start driving and then say, okay, well, halfway down to Canberra, you're like, oh, I actually want to go to Perth. No, you've got to have a goal in place. It's the same attitude. And I just want to push a little bit harder on the type of goals, just to really drive, because the main goal that I want to push out of it is the personal goal. So you've got a family goal, and it's something that you sit with your family, your wife, your partner, your girlfriend, even your mum and dad, whatever it is, and set those goals and just get clear, hey guys, what do we want to achieve? What do we want to do this year? And it's simple. Some things are simple. We want to buy a dog, or we want to upgrade the bus from the background. It could be as simple as, I don't know, we want to pay off the credit card, whatever it is. I usually put that as money goal, but something for them that they're going to do with their family, that as a family we can all row in the same direction.
Oh, yeah.
So, and it could be as simple as we want to buy a swing set for the kids in the backyard. And it's, we're going to pack away, if I make the $45 an hour, I'm going to pack away $50 a week to make $700. That's going towards the swing set. And knowing that I'm going to pick on a pub anymore. I'm going to say, instead of buying Uber Eats for lunch, instead of having last night's dinner, I'm going to save that $20. I'm going to put it towards the swing set. So, it helps you align those sacrifices, which again, direction to Everest, if you want to talk about it.
Yeah.
The other one, the most important one, is a personal goal. And when I talk about personal goal, personal is something you're going to do for yourself. This is the one that makes, I'm going to say, 95% of the people are taken through this journey very uncomfortable. Because this is something they have to do for them. And not many people we're not wired like this. Not many people are wired where I've got to think about me, what I'm going to do for me. And it could be, I'm going to learn a new skill. I'm going to, simple thing. I'm going to go to the gym, or I'm going to lose 3 kilos, or something that you can do and only you can do. You can go and ask for help how to do it, but in the end, it's you get to do it and it's for you. And learning a new skill, let's just pick that one. No one can ever take that away from you. You can lose the house, the wife, the children, the world can go fall apart, but no one can take the skill away from you. And even if you were to pick losing weight, because that was a big journey that I went on, I learned how to, I didn't lose weight because I just stopped eating. I learned how to lose weight. And then guess what happens now the rest of my life? I've learned the skill. Even if I put 100 kilos on now, I know the skill on how to lose weight again. It's a crap ride, I won't lie to you, but it's worth it. It's the hard, it's the bit about keeping promises. And it's understanding that I've done that for me, but naturally when I did that for me, everyone else around me got better. So that's the whole attitude of you must have a personal goal. And it's okay. It's okay to have a personal goal. Don't worry what anyone else tells you. And it's okay to talk with your very close partner, whether it's your wife, your friend, or mum, and tell them about your personal goal. Why? Because they're going to hold you accountable to it. And that's the beauty about it. And that's the most important piece about setting goals. And if I was to pull it right back to the start, it's about making those small promises. It's so important that, I'm not going to, simple thing conversation, I'm not going to buy the Uber Eats because it's going towards a kid's swing set, or I'm not going to You know, I'm not going to buy the Big Mac. I'm going to go and stop at BP because Healthy Heads has done a good deal with them, and we get healthy food at BP. There's a plug for Healthy Heads. But that's the attitude, isn't it? And it sounds simple. I can tell you openly it's not. You're going to stuff it up, so just take that pressure off you. So don't feel like, I'm going to stuff it up. No, you just accept from day one. Take the pressure off your shoulders. I'm going to stuff it up. The biggest thing is just go again. Reset and go again. Yeah. Reset and go again. You don't have to wait till tomorrow to reset. You can reset in an hour. You can reset in 20 minutes. Reset and go again. Don't beat yourself up. It doesn't work for you. Beating yourself up doesn't do anything. It just makes you feel worse. You know what? I stuffed it up. What am I going to learn from it? I'm going to try and, I lasted a day. Tomorrow, I'm going to last 2 days now. That's my goal. Let me chase that one.
Now, so you've sat down and done, I'm obsessed by the name Barry Whiteboard meeting now. So you've done this a lot, because not only do you have 140 staff working alongside you, but in your business, but you've had some come and go over the time for all different journeys. Yeah. So you've done more than just 140 of these Barry Whiteboard meetings. How many people come back to you? Can you talk us through some stories without names? So they come back and go, thank you, or that helped, or they come, send you a photo of whatever their version of the kids' swing set was. Talk us through, because we love on this show talking about how dark it can be. We love talking about the kind of tools. We love to shine a bit of light on how we accept. Please know that it can be dark for many people. You're not on your own, and we love talking about some of the tools you can utilise to help you out. But sometimes hearing the success stories is lovely too, of which you are one. But
still on my own journey, mate. We're all having fun, but it's part of the journey. And this is the beauty about it. And if you talk about success stories, I could talk. To me, it's just watching their face light up. And I'll give you no name to this story. I had a very good friend of mine through the industry that was aligned with another business, and he was working in another business and was down I'll use the machine death spiral.
Oh, yep.
And
I was just working their backside
20 hours a day, 7 days a week. And, when you talk to him, he had the biggest smile on his face. You would never pick it. You didn't know. We'd see him at a family barbecue, probably once every 2 or 3 months. You'd ask him, how you going? And you get the comment, everything's good, she'll be right. And I remember having, I called him. It's actually interesting. He called me. He's usually the type of guy that will answer your phone no matter what. Like, this guy would be, wherever he is, he'd answer the phone. He didn't answer the phone. He didn't call me back. A bit interesting. Didn't think he'd take much notice of it. But sort of there was a change of behaviour. Hang on, what's going on here? It's not really like this guy. So anyway, I call him again. I finally catch him, and I sort of talk to him. I said, mate, hey, how you going? And it was just so interesting that no one's ever like. I said, no. He's like, I'm good. I said, no. How you going? Like, what's going on? He goes, what do you mean? I said, it's not like you not to call me back or not to, not to answer your phone. What's going on? And we started a conversation. He goes, where are you? I said, well, mate, look, I'm at work. I'm going to swing past you home on the way home from work. I'll pop past, I'll come past, have a beer with you, or have a chat. And I went past him, he wasn't home, so I called him up again. I said, where are you? He goes, I'm at work. I said, we're at work. And he's aligned industry, so I drove out to him, and he's out there on a breakdown, and he's got me sitting next to him, and we started having a conversation. I said to him, what are you doing? What's going on? And we start talking about, he's got the challenges. I'm out here trying to do this job. This guy owes me money. This guy doesn't owe me this. I've got 20 grand on the credit card. My daughter's school fees have now bounced. The wife's up me for the thing. The grocery stores are, I had to tell her not to pay for the groceries because we needed to pay for the parts, and you can only imagine the noise he was going through. And I just looked at him and said, well, how long has this been going on for? It's been about a year and a half. And remember, we see this guy, and then we sort of had the conversation, and I said to him, I said, well, we just got to stop doing it. He goes, what do you mean I've got to stop? What about we get money? I said, well, you've got to ask for help. And we had a good conversation, went down the journey, and we asked for help. And this is what I did when I was stuck. This is where, read this, go and talk to this guy. Who do we need to speak to work out how to get this? And one of his ultimate dreams was to take his daughter to Disneyland. And to give you the context of what we're talking about, this guy, respectfully, was $35,000 in the hole, credit card debt, no home, wife about to walk out the door. 12 months later, he sends me photos of his tickets. He's taken it to Disneyland.
12 months later?
12 months later. By just having that conversation. And taking the action, doing the work. He did the work, respectfully.
And so just did a similar journey to you started looking after himself, asking for help about how to structure a business and cash flow and
asking for help in general, just the small stuff as well. How do I manage my tools? What am I doing with, these jobs, or how do I collect money? Like, I feel bad. Like I used to have the same problem. I used to feel bad. I used to feel guilty calling people for my money. It's like, hang on, I got wages to pay, I got families to feed, and it's like I used to call people. Like, hey, if it's okay, because no one ever teaches you this. No one ever shows you this, and it's okay to ask. Like, if you've done the work and it's within the terms that you've agreed, then you're entitled to your money. And unfortunately, it's just you don't get taught these things because you're just a good mechanic, and you've got the guy with the big smile on. I truly believe that if we didn't have that conversation, it could have been a lot worse. And unfortunately, there's people we don't get a chance to talk to. That's why I'm doing this, because I want them to hear that there is an opportunity to get out of it and talk to people and ask for help. And if you're not sure, honestly, you'll be so surprised how many people are out there that can help. And just the simple things of just, hey, who do you know? And the best way to find someone that I learned of is go and find someone who's done it before. 80% of the time, is the person who's done it before is a person would gladly help someone who's stuck in their space.
Yeah, it's such a good point, mate, that if they've been through the similar circumstance, which is why I think you've already said as much, that the reason you love being a part of Healthy Heads and Camp Quality, all this kind of stuff, is you want to give back, and that when you see people that are in a position you were in, that you must feel a little bit. Is empowered the right word? I don't know.
I just light up.
But to go, I have the tools. You know what? It is the mechanic in you as well as the good human. I have the tools to fix that broken thing. Like you must.
I don't call it broken, but yeah, I know where you're stuck, and I can fix it.
Yeah, do you know what
I can help you fix it.
You can see something that's not running right,
correct,
and you go, "I've got the tools. I can make that thing run smoother."
Come let me teach you something. Come and learn something that I learned, and I wish I learned this earlier. And that's. I'll give you one more sort of. Here we go. Barry's more thing. I sort of have conversations with, and back to the guys that you sort of the success stories. People have the micro success around you, and they come and tell me about, hey, this happened, and Barry, it's so good. This is like, one person got married, or one person was dealing with a bit of change management, and I said to, and I go, look, Barry, how can I thank you? And the same way I asked the question to someone, how can I thank him? They said this, and this is my theory in life. I only ask of you to teach someone else. And, when you learn your lessons, you can learn your lessons at 28, 30, 35, 40, 50. Why? The lesson I learned when I was 35, if I can teach it to my children when they're 15, they've got 20 years ahead of me. If I could teach it to someone else, who's younger than me, they've got 10 years in front of me. And that's the attitude. That's your obligation. And that's your responsibility to this world that's given you life and so much in this world. Is the way you want to thank someone for helping you is to help someone else. And if we can teach the younger generation, and it sounds so cliche, but it's the reality of what we're trying to do here. You could be going through the hardest part of what life. And let's just pick on the machines again and what I went through. And, come out of it the other end and learn all of these new skills that I've learned along the journey and things that I've learned and people that I've met. Imagine getting the opportunity when your own son or your own daughter's coming through the trade, because magically our kids always look up to us, and you're able to teach them what to avoid, the mistakes not to do, and how to achieve what we've taken me. I'm nearly 40 now, and I could teach him the lessons of 20 years. And how much pain and suffering and headache am I going to save my son before he gets through life? And it's the same thing when you meet other people, someone else's son or someone else. That's your obligation. That's the best part of the success story, is when you get the opportunity to turn around and say, hey, well, what I taught you've got to teach your kids, and guess what? You've got to teach someone else as well.
Pass it down. It's the relay race of life, isn't it? So here's just some fun questions, Barry.
Oh, here we go.
It can just be about life. It doesn't have to be about the workplace necessarily, but what really lets the air out of your tyres in life? What things drive you mad?
People who want to be victims. Want to blame the world for everybody, for their own problems.
Yes.
Energy drainers.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, did you ever have you got a handle? Have you got a truckie nickname kind of thing, like a CB radio nickname? What was yours? I keep having to confess, mine was Red Baron.
Red Baron.
That was. I know. I never said it was good.
Oh no, I don't have a nickname. No, I don't have a nickname.
I think it's Barry Whiteboard now. If you ask me.
It sounds like it.
And if there had to be a soundtrack to your life or a trucking song, is there a song we talked to? I love Eastbound and Down. There's a few songs I love. So if you had to have a song that was playing in the background of your life, it could just be an AC/DC song if you want.
Yeah, probably halfway there. We're still going. Oh, we're halfway. There we go. Yeah, so we're still on the journey. So yeah.
And if you're in charge of every road in Australia, just the roads themselves, what would be the first thing you'd change?
Add a trucking lane, not a bus lane. And a bus lane. Add a truck lane.
Yeah, we need 2 lanes. It's good. You know what? The reason I love asking it is it's kind of half for a bit of fun, bit of a joke, but out of it comes good suggestions because it's from people that have worked in this sphere for a very long period of time. So a trucking lane would be good, and then how many? It'd save a few accidents, wouldn't it, without people pulling in front of them? Yeah,
100%.
The other thing I'd like to see on the front of a truck, not that you've asked me the question. But I'd like a really long stick that's the length of the braking distance to be put on trucks just for one day. How's this for an idea? Truck stick day. Got to be careful how you say it.
Yeah.
Truck stick day, where on the front of trucks we have like a piece of dowel. You'd have to be careful. You'd have to put a big round end on it so you don't stab anyone. But a long piece of dowel, right? And the red bit is how much distance the truck needs to stop. You go, red is how long the truck needs to stop from 60, and then you have a blue bit at the end of that.
Just grows as the truck goes faster, maybe.
It needs to stop at 80, and then you have a yellow bit at the front of that of what a truck needs, the distance it needs to stop from 100, and have that in front of a truck to show people. Don't you reckon? And have that truck drive around Melbourne on Truck Stick Day.
Well, mate, look, in concept, I think the NHVR won't be too happy about sticky, pointy things at the front of a truck. But
oh, come on.
The education piece for the rest of the world to understand how hard it is to pull up in one of these trucks, mate, I'm with you all the way. So if we're going to call it Truck Stick Day or whatever you want to call it, I've got you back on it. And I'm sure my guys will gladly fit it for you if you can get it approved.
Yeah, leave it with me. It'll be out of balsa wood. Bit of foam, it won't hurt. One of those, like those foam things that kids float on in pools, so it can't hurt anyone.
Pool noodle.
A massive pool noodle. It's Pool Noodle Truck Stick Day. Watch this space, Barry. Watch this space.
Good. How good's that?
So look, Barry, I hope you don't mind me doing this. I like to do a bit of a wrap up, if you will. It tends to be the way the world goes with podcasts, and I don't mind you hearing me say this, even though you're still with me. Which is, your story shows how much things can change when I would say that when you open up and you ask for help. We've said that before, and I think that is the kind of the best wrap up or summary, if you will. But before we do wrap up, let's look back at a few key takeaways that I'd like to, which is normalise the chat would be the way I would give it a headline. You do your Barry Whiteboard meetings, but I would just say to normalise the chat, that mental health is just as important as physical health is something that it keeps coming out in conversations I've had. I'm surprised, to be honest, how often it comes out that your physical health and your mental health are truly connected, and you've 100%. Said it was a huge part of your journey. So talk about stress or pressure like you would a sore back. I mean, that's I know it's obvious when you say it out loud, but I think it's a great reminder, which is why I wanted to say it. And watch for burnout, and you said it before with your analogies about the machine, and we've said it quite a few times that the harder, like being in quicksand, the harder you move, somehow it gets worse. So, just watch for burnout, tiredness, inability, or losing interest are warning signs, and set some boundaries, before it snowballs for you. And keep learning and growing. That's the bit. That's the big. I think the biggest bit I've got from you is self-development, because as we know, it can build confidence and resilience, and the small goal setting. That's the bit that small goal setting and curiosity leads to real change. But again, we've done quite a few of these podcasts now, and I love picking up on the bits that you go, okay, this has been a commonality between so many success stories, and the one that does come out a lot is just set some small achievable goals, and you're already on the right path. If you start doing those little, small, incremental changes in the right direction, you are already heading in a new, better direction. Well, I'm going to finish up by saying I am Shane Jacobson, and this is How You're Travelling from Healthy Heads in Trucks and Sheds. For more stories that hit home, check out the other episodes wherever you get your podcasts. And if you ever need extra support, the Healthy Heads app has tips, tools and check-ins to help you along the way. Look after yourselves out there. Barry, I like to get my guests to say goodbye to my audience because they're probably sick of hearing from me. So I'm going to hand it over to you, Barry, because you got a pretty awesome voice.
Nah, it's a bit Barry White going on.
Yeah, you got your own Barry White. So say goodbye to our wonderful audience.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for listening, and don't be shy to ask for help. Cheers.
See you on the road, folks. Thanks, Barry White.